Let me ask you something uncomfortable. How many times have you walked away from a date with a strange, lingering feeling you could not quite name? Not anger, not heartbreak, just a quiet sense of being drained, as if something was taken from you without your consent. You showed up, you listened carefully, you put in effort, you paid attention, you paid the bill, and still somehow it was not enough. At first you try to brush it off. You tell yourself it was just one bad experience. Then another one happens, and another. Slowly a pattern begins to form, not just in your life, but everywhere you look. Friends tell similar stories. Online discussions sound familiar. Men from completely different backgrounds, cultures, and countries describe the same experiences using almost identical language. The same entitlement, the same one-sided expectations, the same realization that modern dating no longer feels like mutual connection. It feels transactional. It shows up on first dates where the most expensive item on the menu is ordered casually, without hesitation, and payment is assumed rather than acknowledged. It shows up in relationships where her needs are framed as urgent, essential, and emotionally important, while yours are treated as optional, inconvenient, or excessive. It shows up in breakups where, regardless of what actually happened, accountability disappears, and the conclusion somehow still lands on you. At first, you internalize it. You assume you did something wrong. You think maybe you were not confident enough. Maybe you did not say the right thing. Maybe you did not provide enough. Maybe you did not perform well enough. So you try harder next time. But after enough repetition, a more disturbing question starts to surface. Is this really just bad luck? Is this really just individual personalities? Or is something larger shaping these outcomes? Most mainstream advice avoids this question. It keeps the explanation comfortably small. You are told to choose better, to raise your standards, to improve yourself more, to communicate better, to be more confident, to be more patient. But that explanation collapses under one simple observation. When millions of men who have never met each other, who do not share the same culture, language, or social circle, all report the same dynamics, that is not coincidence. That is pattern formation, and patterns that appear at scale are almost never accidental. Patterns emerge when incentives push behavior in the same direction. So what if the entitlement you are seeing is not random? What if the materialism, the dysfunction, and the imbalance are not personal attacks against you at all? What if they are being encouraged, not by a secret conspiracy, not by some hidden group plotting behind closed doors, but by something far more ordinary, far more powerful, and far more difficult to argue against? Economics, incentives. Here is a truth that immediately reframes everything. The system does not care about your happiness. It does not care about love. It does not care about long-term relationships. It does not care about emotional fulfillment. It does not care about family stability. Large systems do not operate on feelings or values. They operate on incentives. Governments respond to incentives. Corporations respond to incentives. Media responds to incentives. Technology platforms respond to incentives. And incentives almost always are financial. Things that generate profit get promoted. Things that do not quietly fade away. This is not a conspiracy theory. It is simply how complex systems behave. No one needs to sit in a room and decide to destroy dating. That is not how outcomes like this are produced. All that needs to happen is one simple condition. Instability must generate more economic activity than stability. And it does. Think carefully about what happens when a long-term relationship ends. One household becomes two. One rent becomes two rents. One grocery bill becomes two grocery bills. One set of utilities becomes two. One couch becomes two couches. One car becomes two cars. Lawyers are paid. Therapists are paid. Moving companies are paid. Furniture stores are paid. Dating apps gain new subscribers. Bars, restaurants, gyms, clothing brands, and travel companies all see increased spending. An entire economic chain activates the moment a relationship collapses. Now compare that to a stable, long-term partnership. Shared expenses, lower consumption, more saving, fewer impulse purchases, less emotional spending to cope with loneliness or insecurity. From a purely economic perspective, a healthy couple is inefficient. They do not churn, they do not panic buy, they do not endlessly consume in search of validation. They are boring customers. And boring customers are bad for business. This does not mean anyone is deliberately sabotaging relationships, but it does mean there is no meaningful incentive to protect them. Dating apps do not make money when you find someone and leave. They make money when you stay hopeful, unsatisfied, and swiping. Social media platforms do not profit when you are secure and content. They profit when you are comparing yourself to others, scrolling endlessly, feeling inadequate, and looking for something to buy to fill the gap. So dissatisfaction is quietly encouraged. Endless choice is emphasized. Commitment is framed as risky. Stability is framed as boring. And the idea that something better is always one swipe away is constantly reinforced. Culture does not simply reflect human behavior. It shapes it. Pay attention not to what culture loudly debates, but to what it quietly normalizes. Chaotic relationships dominate movies, shows, and social media. Drama is framed as passion. Volatility is framed as excitement. Stability is framed as settling. Repeated exposure to these messages slowly trains expectations, even in people who believe they are immune to influence. You deserve more. Never settle. If it is not perfect, walk away. If someone does not meet every expectation, replace them. Individually, these ideas sound empowering. Collectively, they erode patience, compromise, and long-term thinking. Standards quietly turn into entitlement. Self-respect quietly turns into inflexibility. Empowerment quietly turns into extraction. At the same time, men are shaped in a very different direction. Men are taught early that their value is conditional, not based on who they are, but on what they provide. Be useful, be productive, be impressive, earn approval through performance. So when a man enters the dating world, he does not arrive neutral. He arrives already programmed to prove himself, to earn affection, to assume that if something goes wrong, he probably failed some invisible test. This is why modern dating feels like an unwinnable game. He pays or he is cheap. He leads or he is controlling. He is vulnerable or he is weak. He is stoic or he is emotionally unavailable. No matter what he does, there is always a way to frame it as wrong. Unwinnable games keep people trying harder instead of questioning the game itself. Men respond by giving more, tolerating more, staying longer than they should. Over time, this creates a quiet but powerful feeling of exploitation. Not loud abuse, not dramatic harm, just steady extraction. Men fall hard when they become emotionally attached. Attachment overrides logic. They tolerate behavior they would never accept from anyone else. Not because they are weak, but because they were never taught emotional regulation, only emotional suppression. Romantic attachment unlocks emotions they were never trained to manage. The result is overgiving, codependency, fear of walking away and staying too long in situations that are clearly damaging. This vulnerability is human, but in an environment that rewards extraction, it becomes exploitable. The gentleman myth reinforces this. Be selfless, sacrifice quietly, put her needs first, endure without complaint, accept loss with dignity. That narrative once existed inside a reciprocal social contract. That contract no longer exists. The expectations remain. The protections do not. Generosity without wisdom becomes self-destruction. Sacrifice without reciprocity becomes exploitation. This confusion does not exist in a vacuum. It is constantly reinforced by an entire modern industry built around relationships, identity, and validation. The influencer economy. There are now countless influencers, pseudo-psychologists, dating coaches, and lifestyle personalities whose business model depends on keeping people emotionally unsettled. Their income relies on attention, engagement, outrage, and fear. Stable, healthy relationships do not generate clicks. Chaos does. So content is optimized for conflict. Women are told that every inconvenience is a red flag, that discomfort equals disrespect, that compromise is settling, that accountability is optional as long as feelings are validated. They are encouraged to view relationships through a lens of extraction rather than partnership. Men are fed a different poison, either become completely detached and emotionally unavailable, or perform endlessly, provide endlessly, and tolerate whatever treatment comes your way. Both extremes sabotage healthy connection. This content spreads because it feels comforting. It removes responsibility. It tells people that their failures are not their fault. It offers simple villains and easy explanations, and it discourages self-reflection. The result is predictable. People enter relationships hyper-vigilant, defensive, and primed for disappointment. Normal friction is labeled trauma. Normal conflict is labeled incompatibility. Any request for effort is reframed as control. When relationships collapse under this pressure, the same voices are waiting with more content, more validation, and more narratives to consume. The cycle never ends. This dysfunction produces real damage. Divorce rates remain high. Single-parent households continue to rise. Children grow up without stable family structures. Men's mental health deteriorates quietly, often without support or acknowledgement. Male suicide rates remain dramatically higher than female rates, with divorced men among the highest risk groups. These are not abstract statistics. These are real lives being shaped by a system that rewards instability. This is not about blaming women, and it is not about portraying men as helpless victims. Both are being shaped by forces that benefit from confusion, conflict, and dependency. Women are not winning either. Many follow the cultural script exactly as it is given. Delay commitment, chase perfection, prioritize attention, avoid compromise. And later, many wake up confused, alone, and wondering how doing everything they were told still led to emptiness. Everyone loses, except the system that profits from instability. So what actually works in an environment like this? A healthy relationship today requires intentional resistance. Resistance to cultural programming, resistance to speed, resistance to entitlement on one side and over-sacrifice on the other. It starts with equality, not equality as scorekeeping, but equality as mutual investment. Both people bring effort. Both people bring value. Both people sacrifice at times. Both people feel responsible for the health of the relationship. There are no permanent givers and no permanent takers. When one person is always providing and the other is always consuming, resentment becomes inevitable. And resentment quietly destroys everything it touches. A healthy relationship also requires emotional control. Not emotional suppression, not emotional numbness, emotional management. The ability to feel deeply without being ruled by emotion, the ability to sit with discomfort without immediately fleeing, the ability to have difficult conversations without turning them into power struggles. Most modern relationships fail not because people do not care enough, but because emotions are unmanaged. Discomfort triggers withdrawal. Conflict triggers punishment. Disagreement becomes a threat instead of a problem to solve. Healthy partners can tolerate tension long enough to work through it. They can set boundaries without weaponizing them. They can disagree without threatening abandonment. This skill is rare because modern culture does not reward it. Next comes responsibility, real responsibility, not performative apologies, not endless blame shifting, not "I'm sorry you feel that way." Responsibility means owning your contribution to problems. It means recognizing patterns instead of defending ego. It means correcting behavior instead of rationalizing it. In healthy relationships, there are no permanent victims and no permanent villains. Both people contribute to success and failure. Without accountability, relationships turn into courtrooms, and intimacy disappears. Healthy relationships also require realistic expectations, not cynicism, not settling, reality. No partner will meet every emotional need. No relationship will always feel exciting. No human being will perfectly align with fantasy. Culture sells perfection. Reality offers compatibility. People who expect perfection sabotage stability. People who value reliability build something that lasts. Reliability is boring to the attention economy, but boring is where trust lives. Consistency, predictability, showing up when it is inconvenient. Another critical element is structure. One of the biggest reasons modern dating feels chaotic is because shared frameworks collapsed. Traditional rules were dismantled and nothing coherent replaced them. Now everyone is improvising from different assumptions. He believes leadership is expected. She believes leadership is control. She expects emotional expression. He was taught emotions are weakness. He expects partnership. She expects endless pursuit. These mismatches are not personal failures. They are framework failures. The couples who succeed today usually do something different. They explicitly build their own rules. They talk early about expectations. They define roles instead of assuming them. They clarify boundaries before resentment forms. They make the implicit explicit. It is awkward, it is uncomfortable, it is unromantic, and it works. Filtering is unavoidable. You cannot save everyone. You cannot fix broken scripts in other people. Some people benefit from chaos. Some people are deeply invested in dysfunction because it gives them leverage, attention, or identity. Filtering is not cruelty, it is self-respect. When you operate with clarity and balance, you naturally repel people who thrive on instability and attract people who do not. The filtering process is painful. You walk away more often. You feel lonely at times. You question yourself. But this discomfort is temporary. Staying in the wrong relationship causes permanent damage. Here is the uncomfortable truth. Many men resist. You cannot build a healthy relationship if you need one to feel whole. Neediness creates leverage. Leverage invites exploitation. Desperation is not invisible. It shapes behavior, weakens boundaries, and distorts judgment. The men most capable of healthy relationships are often the ones who do not require one to survive. They build lives with structure, purpose, and discipline. Relationships become additions, not rescues. This does not mean becoming cold or detached. It means becoming stable. Stability attracts stability. Chaos attracts chaos. If the system is not fixing itself, resilience becomes the only rational response. Not bitterness, not withdrawal. Resilience. Resilience means healing unresolved attachment wounds, developing emotional literacy, understanding your triggers, recognizing when attraction turns into irrational attachment. The man who understands his own emotional patterns is protected in ways the emotionally unaware man is not. He can love without losing himself. He can give without being depleted. He can walk away without collapsing. Once you understand the environment shaping modern dating, something important happens. You stop taking dysfunction personally. You stop blaming yourself. You stop fighting culture. You stop waiting for the system to care about your happiness. You become strategic. You move slower. You observe patterns over time. You invest where reciprocity exists. Good people still exist. They are simply harder to find because the system filters against them. They do not advertise loudly. They do not benefit from chaos. They are often living quietly, building steadily, waiting patiently. When two such people meet, something different happens. No games, no extraction, no power struggles, just mutual investment. So why does modern dating feel so broken? Because instability is profitable. Because entitlement is normalized. Because old rules were destroyed without new ones being created. Human nature did not suddenly deteriorate. The environment shaping behavior changed. Understanding this does not magically fix dating, but it removes confusion. You stop waiting for the system to change. You stop expecting fairness from structures built on profit. Instead, you focus on what you can control: your standards, your boundaries, your emotional health, your life structure. You build yourself. You heal yourself. You raise your standards and your value at the same time. And when you do that, one of two things happens. You either find a partnership that is mutual, grounded and stable, or you find peace without one. Both outcomes are acceptable. If this conversation made you uncomfortable, that is not a failure. Discomfort is often the signal that something true just landed. This was not about telling you to stop caring. It was about showing you where your care belongs. Care is a resource. Time is a resource. Commitment is a resource. Invest them wisely, move slower, watch actions, respect patterns. Do not confuse intensity with sincerity. You are not broken for feeling frustrated. You notice something real. The system does not care about your happiness. So you must protect your time, protect your energy, protect your standards. The dysfunction you are seeing is not human nature, it is manufactured. And that means you can choose differently.